All right, if you thought I was loud about content of this game, I got something to show y'all. Someone removed the freeze from Drive Rush. They wanted to see what the game would look like if Drive Rush didn't freeze the game. They wanted to show how ridiculous it would look if you got rid of the freeze from Drive Rush. What is that? Hello? That's what y'all want? That's what y'all want? It's unreactable. It's impossible to react to that. Y'all want an unreactable dash? This throw hits on frame 21, so we take away 5 frames, so that brings us to frame 16. You're telling me that you can react to a 16 frame dash? There's no way. There's no way you are going to react to a 16 frame dash. You're just not. The way Drive Rush works now is that when you go, the game freezes for like 10 frames or so. And since the screen stops for a bit, you have a chance to recognize that there's someone who's going to flash screen and you can counteract it. Because people want the Drive Rush screen freeze to go away. They're tired of their inputs getting eaten. And there's no disrespect to anybody in chat who feels that way. I'm not trying to get at you. I'm not trying to call anyone out. It's all love. But your inputs are not being eaten. I talk about this all the time. I've tested it. I proved it. I have a video out about it. And it's for as many people who watch the video, it feels like no one watched the video. And it sucks. It sucks. It feels like no one learned anything from it. And the worst part about it is that as my peers talk about it, I go, hey, I've tested this out. It's vetted information. Here, I made a video showing this case here to prove that your inputs are not being eaten. And no one sees it. It sucks. It sucks. Why y'all trying to boo me? But I'm right, though. It doesn't matter. If the screen freezes, if you press a button, your button will come out every time. It might come out late because you used the wrong button, but it still comes out. If you input, you will get it. I legitimately just showed you that it doesn't eat your button. I'm getting a headache. I'm gonna throw up. I'm going to vomit. I'm actually gonna vomit. So if you hit a button during the flash, it will always come out. Always. Right? So I will die on this hill. This game does not eat your inputs. We're just not doing what the game expects us to do. This game is made for modern controls. I'm not saying that it's perfect, right? I'm not saying that everything that we try to do, it's gonna work. In fact, this game actually has a different timing than we expect, and that's where the issue happens. How many of you have been hit here? Just like that. Where's my DP? There it is, right? Where's my DP? My DP input is right here. Where's my DP? How come I didn't get it? The Drive Rush must have eaten my DP. So when we block this kick here, we're in block stun, right? And the bar above our head shows us being in block stun. And that red bar will show when we can attack again. Now, that yellow bar in between shows the buffer window, right? This is the window that we can input our moves early and it still comes out. So for an example, if I press a button inside that window, my kick will come out first frame, right? You don't need to be perfect as long as it's within the window. If I want to DP through that, I could do so. Now, if I time it, I know the timing of that every time, right? Easy. I know when the window opens and I know when it closes. Let's do this, right? Doesn't work anymore, right? The reason being, you have to do it closer to when the window starts to close. The game freezes for a few frames, and as the game is frozen, it screws up my timing. I know the window when she recovers from crouching and medium kick. I know when to reversal. It goes like this. Boom, right? So now, right? Now. But when there's Drive Rush, it's now. You see? It goes now, right? Now. It pauses and then goes. What you're doing is that you're inputting things early, but it's within the same timing that you expect to be in the window because you're doing it early because time freezes for 10 frames. So the game didn't eat your input. You input it at a time where your input was invalid and you weren't blocking. So you got hit. Because if I were to turn these both on, I'm going to get hit by the drive rush. See? So every time I reversal based on the recovery of the crouching medium kick, but the drive rush screen freeze causes my timing to be off by about 10 frames. That is what's happening. The game is not eating your input. You're inputting incorrectly. That's the truth of it. That's what no one wants to hear. You input your shit too early. Don't shoot the messenger. That is what is happening. I will agree. That's not fair to the defender because there is something that happens in drive rush that no one is talking about. And there is something broken about drive rush that no one is talking about. And the sad part is Capcom is unable to fix it. And this will never be changed. In my point of view, I don't think this will ever be changed. The issue is so ingrained in the way this game plays that for them to change it, they would have to rework the whole game. While everyone is saying the way that this game interprets my inputs, Capcom is going, it's not doing that, so there's no problem. No one is willing to accept that maybe they input incorrectly. You can't tell me this game stores your inputs for too long, but then you're telling me that you're inputting your DPs too early. I thought it stored the inputs for long. But if you guys weren't here for my last rant, I want to know one thing, chat. Where did this guy go? I was told we shouldn't patch the game. Screw nerfs, screw buffs, screw the patches. We should adapt. This shirt was super popular. Look at the caption. Do you know the most important rule in life is? It isn't begging for others to change the rules for you. It's adapting to your environment and overcoming all obstacles. Be a winner. Don't be a whiner. Hey, come on. What are we talking about here? You can't say I'm a world-class player that can adapt to my surroundings and then I can't adjust how I input things in a fighting game. I'm sorry. You can't have both. Everyone talked about Street Fighter V and they said that the buffer window for that game was too big, that the reversal window in that game was too big. Where'd the skill go? They got rid of one frame links. They're like, oh, game's too easy. Everyone can do stuff now, right? But the moment I tell people, hey, you're a professional, right? Yes. Top in the world, right? Yes. Top 0.5% in the world. Yes. Top 0.1% in the world. Yes. Top 0.01% in the world. Yes. Hey, your concerns could be fixed if you just got good. How are you going to tell me to get good? Do you know who I am? I'm a world-class player. Who are you? You actually just have to input closer to when you recover, which means you have to be more accurate. So if you do that, you don't have any problem. Well, no, that's asking for too much. I mean, y'all were doing one frame blinks. Kind of expect more from y'all. I get told how disgusting all these players are. And the moment I ask them to learn Feng Shui Engine, they go too hard, right? I'm going to swap to JP. I'm going to swap to DJ. I'm going to swap to Ken, right? Okay, fine. I asked them, hey, you're inputting your DPs wrong. It should be closer to when you recover. You have to be more accurate. If you're trying to do it during the drive rush, do it when they're closer to you. And I get told, no, the game eats my inputs. But I just showed you it didn't. If you can't replicate it, it's not a thing. Does this apply on Wake Up? Yes, it does. My assumption on Wake Up, everyone has this problem. My theory is that the animations on your Wake Up is actually very misrepresented, right? I feel like this is the point where I should do it now, but I'm not in the buffer window. Now is when I do it, but I'm not in the buffer window. Same thing, right? Closer to when you get up. Because I can force it to not work, right? Watch. Right? See how inconsistent I am there? But I can force it to work. I'm telling you, that's what it is. But when I say these things, you know what I get told? I said this to somebody who was showing me an instance from Filipino Champ, right? And they told me, you're telling me this Marvel god that has excellent execution is not executing right. Yes. That's exactly what I'm saying. You need to do your inputs closer to when you get up. Because if the game truly ate your inputs, chat, let me be 100%. I'm going to just be very pointed about this, right? You ready? How come every time someone goes, I'm tired of this game eating my inputs, I say, hey, can you do me a favor? What's up? Can you send me the replay code? Now, it could be that I'm a loser and they don't give a fuck about me, but they never send the replay code through. There's never anything other than just their stream highlight of it. And in all the footage I've seen, there's only been one situation where I went, yeah, I don't have an answer for that. There's only been one. This is a video that I made for a Twitter video that I saw, right? This is not me trying to dunk on anybody, especially Elder Goose, but this is the frustrating part of dealing with like Street Fighter 6 Twitter. And I get all the time, I'm like the input defender for Street Fighter 6, but legitimately the information's there. So we watch a clip and at this point, they're holding down back, but they still get hit. There has to be a reason they get hit. It's not the input system. It can't be the input system. The fireball comes out, the parry. So what I did here, this was a recording that they made, right? Of the replay. So what I did was I went ahead and I found this match to look at the match frame by frame. You can always find shit. The fireball comes out, the parry is active. So Dry Rush comes in, but look at the inputs, right? We have a backdash here. There's a backdash input during the buffer window. So what happens? The first frame, as she can, she backdashes and you hear it. You hear the she backdashes, and she gets stuffed on frame 2. That's why you got hit by it. You weren't blocking. Try to backdash. But videos like this will get around, and it just reaches all the younger players, and they go, this game is dog shit because the input or we just fucked up. No, we're just inputting incorrectly. But I also understand the frustration. That was me trying to be, like, kind. So, DBGen had an issue with his input not coming out. So I thought that you might have input it too early, so I recorded myself doing it. Again, he input it too early. That's always the issue. People are inputting too early. I thought that you might have input it too early, so what I did was I took his clip, and then I recorded exactly as he did, right? And then I played it frame by frame. I recorded myself doing it mostly to get the action timer bullcrap up there, and I have yours on the left side, and I matched it up to this point right here, right? When they both clash, you get the orange there. So it's completely in time. So if we look at it, this is the point in yours where you input the EX slasher. And if we look at the action timer, I think you're like 4 frames out. So 1, 2, 3, 4 frames too early. Oh yeah, I just think you were a bit too early. Why should I have to train the community to do this? I'm happy to do it. I like to teach. All this information's already there. It's that kind of talk that's bad for the game because people get told this stuff and they go, oh, I lost this game because it ate my input. I'm uninstalled. You know what I mean? And I don't want that because I understand the frustration. It happens all the time. I go to DP, I don't get it. And I used to get mad. I go to parry and I don't get it. And I used to get mad. I remember this one time I punched my fucking stick because I went up against a Honda player and I parried and it never came out. Ever. The whole match. I just didn't get it at all. I was so mad. Then once I cooled down, I realized, look at the match again. I did it too early or I just lagged. I just did it late, right? There was just lag. It's on the net, right? It happened. There's something else about parry. Chat, if there's ever a time where you go to parry something and you don't get it, also, and this goes back to the whole, like, we're inputting wrong, right? Cool, right? How'd I get hit, right? I'm hitting the parry, though. How am I getting hit? But here's the thing about parry. I can always block. There's no recovery to block. Holding back got hit. Holding back got hit. Holding back got hit. Holding back, I blocked. The devil's in the details, chat. Do y'all mind if I preach a bit? I tell y'all this because I love y'all. You don't want to hear it, but I don't give a fuck if you don't want to hear it. You need to hear it. And while everyone else is bitching about this game, I'm saying, hey, I know it sucks. This is why it happens. So that you, David, don't fuck it up. So that you win more games, so that you enjoy the game. And while your friends fuck it up, you know the truth. Because when you're armed with the truth, you don't need to be afraid, right? The reason why is because even as you flash parry, you can still block frame 1. It doesn't matter. but the game still checks if you're blocking high or low or left or right. So people say, I use parry. I didn't get the parry, and then I got hit. The game must have given me a medium attack. That's not what's happening. If it gave you a button, you would have gotten counter hit. But you're blocking high when she's doing a low attack. I know you're trying to say you hit the parry button. You did it too early. You're right. But even if you do it early, if you block correctly, you could block frame 1. But people will get hit and they go, I don't understand why I got hit. On top of it, chat, you can interrupt that. But if you do it early, you get hit. But if you do it early and you hold down back, you don't get hit. You see? So when you input DP, hold back or hold down back, right? Just to make sure. Or you do the DP and then you hit the parry button. You do it too early and you fuck it up, you still get a parry. I'm showing y'all how to make sure this doesn't happen. Because my goal is not to bitch and moan and not improve. My goal is to get better, and my goal is to help you get better. I'm going to teach you something else. So if you do DP and you do parry and you add hard punch to it, look what happens. If you do the DP right, you get DP. If you do it wrong, you get parry. So let's look at that case again. If I do it right, I get the DP. If I do it wrong, I get parry. Every time. Every time, chat. If I do it wrong, I get parry. I thought we could adapt. What happened to that guy? Y'all want nerfs and buffs. Y'all want to patch out the drive rush, right? No, adapt. Where's that guy? You can't be both. You can't say, I want drive rush to be changed, but then if I say, hey, I think Ken should be nerfed, you can't say, oh, just adapt. You can't do that. My goal, help y'all out. That's my goal. I can explain to you all how all of this works. I can explain to you how you're doing things too early. I can explain to you that you're not being accurate with your input. I can explain to you that you are trying to put too much within the buffer with the window. And there's one more thing, chat. This one is going to kill you. Where'd my up input go? How come my up input didn't work, right? I tried to jump back and it didn't work. Where did it go? The game is eating my input. And in this case, kind of. The reason why this happens is movement is not bufferable. So if you're in block stun and you tap up, it doesn't come out. You have to be holding up when you can act. You can't buffer up. You can't buffer down. You can't buffer left, right. You cannot buffer movement. Movement, if you tap a direction, you cannot buffer that. That does not work. But if you're Guile and you hold down and you hit up and kick during the screen freeze, you'll still get a flash kick. But you cannot jump back in the screen freeze. That sucks. This is the part that sucks, right? This is the part that pains me to say. Even as I prove everyone wrong that this game does not eat your inputs most of the time, I still side with people who complain about the game eating your inputs. And it's for a reason that no one is talking about, that no one explains correctly, and this is why it will never change. It's because it's so ingrained in the game, it cannot be changed, as far as I know. But it's not for me to figure it out, it's for them to, right? And this is the issue. It is unacceptable for Capcom to put a mechanic that causes the game to freeze for 10 seconds randomly throughout the match that is controlled by your opponent. It is unacceptable for Capcom to put a mechanic in the game that causes the game to freeze and causes my inputs to be delayed, that is controlled by the opponent and I don't have a say in it. That is the thing that I think is the most egregious. That Capcom allows my opponent, whenever they want, to freeze the screen and causes my timing to be messed up. It's not that my inputs get eaten. It's not that the game is cheating me. It screws up my timing, which causes inputs to drop. Someone in chat asked me, do you think they should get rid of the screen freeze? This person modded the game so that they got rid of the screen freeze. Now, chat, if you think they should get rid of the screen freeze, let me know. Do you think you could check this drive rush? Are you checking that, chat? I don't think you are. That's without the screen freeze. That's what y'all want? It would be unplayable. So someone made the suggestion and said, how about we take those 10 frames and just add it to the startup of Drive Rush? It's a cute idea, but here's the problem with that. If you add 10 frames to the startup of Drive Rush, your combos no longer work. Your block strings no longer work. You can't just add 10 frames to something. No, you would say bye-bye to any combos. Because what they did was they added the screen freeze that doesn't add to any of the frame data. The game just stops for a bit. But if you actually have that as startup all of a sudden, one, the value of Drive Rush goes away, because if there's no screen freeze and it starts up slower, people will just check it. Drive Rush shouldn't be infallible, but it also shouldn't be weak at the same time. So people will just be able to jab through it. Like from a frame data point of view, that doesn't make sense. Because after you cancel from a button, I could just hit a button and check you, right? There would be no mix up. There's no incentive. Drive Rush would be useless. And I'm gonna be real. Hot take. Drive Rush in this game fucking sucks when I'm not doing it. Drive Rush fucking rules when I'm doing it, right? Drive Rush is fucking fun. Like, it has its tentacles in the game. It just cannot be changed. The only thing they can do to adjust Drive Rush, and someone in the chat said it, it's a very good idea, is increase the buffer window only on Drive Rush. If the buffer window was 4 frames wider, 3 frames wider, when you're in block stun, hit stun, when you wake up, that would change it, right? That would make it much better. That's the actual fix to it. But if people complain about the game storing their inputs now, imagine with a wider buffer window. If people think this game is scrubby now, imagine when everyone is doing reversals, right? You don't want the game to be tighter. I want y'all to be tighter, pause. My hot take is, if they never change Drive Rush, in a year, Drive Rush will not be a problem. But we all owe Sanford Kelly an apology. Sanford Kelly in Street Fighter V said he thinks Street Fighter V sucks because some things you just gotta hold. What did Rob TV do? What did, I think it was Chris T? They called him crazy. Chris T was actually on his side, right? But he said that he said it wrong. Everyone called him crazy. He said you can't react to dash straight, you can't react to zonk, you can't react to them, and they're safe to do it. And everyone said he's crazy, that there's ways around it. But my whole point is that I just expect more from the players. I was told how good we are. That's my rant. I think that the community needs to stop complaining about the game eating their inputs. The game is not eating your input, right? You're inputting incorrectly. You're inputting at the wrong timing. But I also think that the community is right for complaining about it because it's not their fault. That it's frustrating. You're losing games because of something that you feel is out of your control. And the reality is that it is out of your control. You know whose control it is in? Your opponent's. Because you can't account for the Drive Rush. Your opponent does. Your opponent is the one that gets to determine when the screen will freeze and when your buffer window gets pushed back. The harsh reality too is that Drive Rush is ingrained in the game. So if they get rid of the screen freeze, Drive Rush becomes really strong. It's too fast. And having those 10 frames allows you to react to things to release counterattack. That screen freeze is there specifically so that you don't have to adjust the rest of the game. You can't add 10 frames of advantage on crouching medium kick to account for the Drive Rush change, because then you have a medium kick that is now +6. You can't have that. But adding the screen freeze allows you to have frame data that makes sense in neutral and in all aspects of the game while still getting your Drive Rush to work. And the only fix that I can think of is to add a larger buffer window. That's really the only thing I can think to do. But then does the game become too easy? I don't know the answer to that. The more that we complain about things that are not true, like inputs being eaten by Drive Rush, the longer it's going to take us to adapt to dealing with Drive Rush. And in a year, no one's going to be complaining about Drive Rush because we'll just be used to it.